Hey there guys, Portalmaster here, and I am here with another episode of Ask Portalmaster. I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get this one up, but hopefully we'll be back on a more regular schedule now. This is going to be answering the questions that were asked in the November edition of Ask Portalmaster. If you want me to answer your questions in the next edition of Ask Portalmaster, which will be held next month, please be sure to drop your questions down in the comments section below so that I can answer them. So without further ado, let's get answering the questions I picked for today's episode. Our first question of the day comes from Shellshot. He says, new question for you now. What are you studying in college, and how would you apply it to the Skylanders franchise if you were hired by Activision? So I am currently studying chemistry. My plan is to get an undergraduate degree in chemistry and then continue on to graduate school at some point in the future. I don't know if I'll get a job before I try to go back to graduate school, but we'll see. So that is what I'm doing in college. How would I apply that to the Skylanders franchise? That's such a fun question. I think what I would do is I would make Pop Fizz like be an actual chemist. Like that would be really, really funny. All in all, I don't really know how I would apply that to the Skylanders franchise, but I'm sure I'd find some way to do it. Maybe I design a special level like Crankcase's Laboratory or something like that. I think that'd be a fun little level. I don't know. VoodooTech says, what is your least favorite Skylanders level ever? So I can't remember which one it is, but it's the one where you fight Count Moneybones in Skylanders Superchargers. I had to play that one back through on stream, and oh my gosh, that was awful. You have to sneak around. Oh my gosh, great level design, honestly, but horrible level design. Like, it's such a fun little level in theory, but when you actually play it through, you realize it's just frustrating. So I can't remember the name of that one, but I'm sure that everyone out there that's played Skylanders Superchargers knows the level I'm talking about. That's the level. The next question comes from your favorite Canadian YouTuber. He says, hey Portalmaster, have you gotten anything special planned for us other than the recent giveaways? So what I have planned is a special thing at 10,000 subscribers. I announced this the other day in one of my giveaway videos, but basically I plan to give away a volcanic vault, and I will probably be doing limited international giveaway. So I'll probably be extending it out to like at least Europe, Canada, and any other where in North America, and then probably like Australia, where like most of my viewers are. When you start going out further, it gets harder and harder to ship to more and more remote places, but I'm planning to do some type of big giveaway for when I hit 10,000, and it's going to be for the volcanic vault. I actually don't own a volcanic vault, so I'm going to buy one for myself and one to send out to you guys. So that is one of the things I've got coming up. The Komodo Warrior says, how much do you think the overall perception of Skylanders Superchargers would have changed had it had a real-world modular system to Starlink? So it took me a minute to figure out what you were asking, but basically what this guy is asking is, so Starlink, you could take the weapons off the spaceships and hot swap them on the fly, basically. Well, Superchargers had the modding system, but of course that was all done within the game. Personally, I think that if the Supercharger vehicles had been twice their size, maybe had been sold for like 20 bucks or something like that, really had very nice moving parts, because like some of them, like the Shark Tank or like the Burn Cycle, while they did have the movable wheels, they weren't as good as they could have been. But if they had supersized them and then sold changeable vehicle parts, that would have been absolutely amazing. I think that would have been a really cool concept, and based on some of the leaked stuff from Skylanders Trap Team, before it was Trap Team, we do believe it was something along the lines of Ranger Team and had some type of vehicle system. It kind of looks like that was their original thought process for what eventually became Trap Team. So I think that it would have been cool. I understand why they didn't go with it, because it would have been a lot of small parts to keep up with, and then they would have been selling three types of toys. They would have been selling Skylanders Superchargers, then they would have been selling the Supercharger vehicles, and then they would have been selling parts. Now, it could have been manageable, but I do think it would have been complicated. Overall, I would have liked it more because I think it would have made me like the toy part at least a significantly higher amount than I actually did enjoy them, but I don't know. I don't know how much it would have changed the overall perception of Superchargers, because I think that most people's problems with Superchargers are more so with the game and less so with the figures. The K asks, who is your favorite villain in the whole franchise? Now, there are several correct answers here. There are three potential correct answers. The first is Chaos's mom, Chaosandra. The second is Mesmerelda, and the third is Spellslamzer. There are no other correct answers to this question unless you count Chaos, but I'm not counting Chaos because that's too much of an easy answer. To me, though, it's got to be it's tough because Spellslamzer is the coolest villain to fight. I love him, and I wish he had been made into a Skylander when they redid the villains in Imaginators. That would have been amazing. I'm actually going to say Mesmerelda just because of the fact that she had a more unique story to her, and it felt like she was a character that you actually could know. She also should have been made into a reposed villain character in Imaginators, but oh well. Those two are amazing though. HowlsTCG asks a question that I do plan to expand on a little bit more later. He says, can you explain the difference between Skylanders Superchargers and Superchargers Racing? Now, anyone who has both of them would definitely know the answer to this, but basically Superchargers Racing was a bare-bones, stripped-down version of Skylanders Superchargers that did not include any of the levels. It was only a racing game. That is all it was. And it was because the Wii was not able to run Skylanders Superchargers in its fullest of forms. So because of that, they had to strip it down to bare bones. I plan to do a brief history of Skylanders video on Superchargers at some point when I am done with my brief history of Toys to Life series, so stay tuned because I actually don't own that game, and I plan to buy it at some point and do a review and a full gameplay thing of it, because technically speaking, that and the Trap Team edition of the 3DS are actually the only Skylanders games that I do not own, and I plan to change that soon. Zach Shadowkill asks, who do you think is worse, EA or Activision Blizzard? Now, I'm not going to sit here and trash talk Activision Blizzard as a whole because I actually don't think that they're that bad when you compare them to other companies. Yes, they have bad practices that I don't necessarily agree with. For instance, they sometimes feel like they're forcing developers to rapidly iterate new products, but to be honest, they've gotten a lot better, and I think that them losing the Destiny franchise was a bit of an eye-opening experience for them. I mean, we have Crash and Spyro games coming out every 3 years, and it's allowing them to be a lot more polished than they would if they were coming out every 2 or every year. And hopefully that's a product that they stick to. They stick to making them every 3 years. I would have to say that EA is probably far worse because they have botched a lot of different games and a lot of different franchises. And honestly, I'm glad that they've lost their exclusivity over the Star Wars license because I think that other companies will be able to do better. I think that no gaming company is perfect by any imagination. We've just seen how much people hate CD Projekt Red after the release of Cyberpunk 2077, and they are the masterminds behind The Witcher 3. And it's kind of like, you know, a company can go from being a beloved company who can make one of the most well-received games of all time, which would be like The Witcher 3, to souring their reputation in an instant with something like Cyberpunk 2077. We saw the same thing with Bethesda when they released the new Fallout game, and it just happens. I think that a lot of the gaming companies have their problems, and I think it would be wrong to try to rank them in such a way. ArxGrizz says, what are your thoughts about the introduction of new light and dark elements in Trap Team? I just wish that they had been pushed harder. The unfortunate thing is that there are only 5 light and dark Skylanders. You have like the 2 from Trap Team, you have the 1 from Superchargers, and you have the 2 from Imaginators, and beyond that, you don't have any more. I wish light and dark had been pushed more, and I wish that more light and dark Skylanders had been unique, because ultimately, when you look at the Trap Team light and dark Skylanders with Nightlight, Nightmare, Spotlight, and Blackout, they're all very unique, and we didn't see that necessarily with Astroblast and Nightfall and Superchargers, and we definitely didn't see that when we had Aurora in Imaginators. I do not like Aurora at all. She was one of the most disappointing Skylanders of all time, and especially as a member of the Light Element, I just really do not like her. Stitch302 says, can you rank the Eon's Elite characters, and can you base it off how the Skylanders have changed physically and have been improved in the game? So this is a question, and I'm going to address it fully in a ranking video, a Portalmaster ranks, but only for the Eon's Elite Series 2, if you will, the second set that actually got reposed. But it did make me want to talk a little bit about Eon's Elite in this video, and just sort of comment on how I think it's really funny that they took this concept, Eon's Elite, and they found a way to just repose more Skylanders when they were trying to repose fewer Skylanders. Like in Superchargers, you know, when they got rid of reposes in the traditional sense and just redeveloped Skylanders into effectively new versions of themselves, they were like, nah, we still gotta repose some old Skylanders. Come on, man. I just think that's kind of funny. Austin Davison TV says, what do you hate about Skylanders Giants? And if you don't hate anything about it, what was your favorite part? Well, I will answer both of those things. My favorite part of Skylanders Giants is the prologue. Time of the Giants is a really cool concept, and I really like that as a prologue level. What I don't like about it is how little it innovated off of the base game, and it honestly took Spyro's Adventure and made a more disappointing version of it. It is shorter, it has less of the original magic of the original game, and it doesn't add much content. While it did add Brock's Arena and a few other minor improvements, ultimately it is just a Spyro's Adventure DLC at the end of the day. It only added 16 new characters, and that might honestly be the worst part, is that it only added 16 new characters. It reposed so many of the original figures and didn't bring as many new ones to the table as I really would have liked to have seen. Again, this is probably due to the fact that it was developed in such a short time when compared to all of the other Skylanders games, but ultimately I think that is why it feels most disappointing to me, because it is so short and feels so barren. Boxguard12 says, now that Steve has come to Smash, do you think that Skylanders could have a chance? The alts could all be main starter characters as well. No, I don't personally see Skylanders ever coming to Smash Bros. Because the ones that would are Crash and Spyro, and I honestly think that at some point Crash will be in Smash. I would be genuinely shocked if he never made it in, and I would say he has a better chance probably than Spyro, but I would like to see them both in there. But as for the other Skylanders, I just can't ever see them putting them in there. Like, Stealth Elf is not an iconic enough character on her own. Jetvac is not an iconic enough character on his own that they could really ever make it into Smash, in my personal opinion. Yes, we have Steve, but Steve is coming from Minecraft, the #1 best-selling game of all time, and that's very different from including a Skylander, personally. Dark Saber says, how old are you? Which I'm pretty sure I've already answered before, but I am 20 and will turn 21 in April. Nolan the Epic Portalmaster says, what is your favorite game besides Skylanders? This has definitely changed over the years. If you'd asked me when I first got into Skylanders, I would say Pokemon. If you asked me, 5 years ago, I still don't know what I would have said. But if you ask me now, I would probably tell you that it is Horizon Zero Dawn, which is interesting because I haven't actually ever replayed it. I've only ever played it once. I am beyond excited for Forbidden West. I think it's going to be an amazing game. I really, really, really love the story that game tells. It's hard to say if it is truly my favorite game because I feel like I still haven't played enough games. I don't have enough of a variety to really be able to answer that question. But I will say I really enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn. It has the best story of any video game I've ever played, and I really did enjoy it. JJ2 Vlogs Max says, how has your life changed since COVID-19? Honestly, it hasn't changed a ton because it's not like I am the most social person. The biggest change for me was just living at home again. I do live sort of somewhat at home, but before I lived off at college and I would come home almost every weekend because I don't actually go to college that far away from where I live, but that was probably the single biggest change. Mostly I've just been playing a lot more video games and board games and all that type of stuff. It's been nice being back at home, but that's really the biggest change that it's made to my life. Other than that, I've just been suffering through online school, which I absolutely hate online classes. I really did not like online learning before, but COVID-19 has really soured my opinion of online learning for probably the rest of my life. So, that's great. Mrs. Spyro01 says, would you ever make a video on the misconceptions that people have had over the years with Skylanders? There's this one really stupid misconception people have where if a Skylander dies in any game, that they're dead forever and you can never use that particular figure ever again. So I don't know that I would ever make a video on this, and simply because I haven't heard a lot of those misconceptions. Personally, I didn't really have any misconceptions with Skylanders because I just saw the ads and was like, hey, that's really cool, I want that. And then my parents got it for me for Christmas because it was like right there around Christmas. And then I started buying my own Skylanders and I loved it. So I feel like I haven't had a lot of misconceptions myself, and I haven't really heard of a lot of people saying that they have misconceptions either. So I would love to maybe do a video sometime and see what other people have said, like what their misconceptions were. But personally, this isn't something I think I could ever make a video on because I just don't know about these misconceptions, but I'd love to hear more of yours. And finally, my girlfriend Haley says, if you could be any Skylander for the day, who would you be? You're gonna look me dead in the eye and tell me, everybody, that you wouldn't want to be Sunburn too? He is a teleporting Phoenix Dragon! How would you not want to be sunburn. Seriously though, think about how awesome it would be, because number one, you can fly, number two, you can breathe fire out of your mouth, and number three, you can teleport. Like, this would be the coolest experience to have. I would absolutely love to be sunburned for a day. I think he has to be the best one to be. There are other good ones too, but seriously, I think sunburn would have to take it. It would definitely be one that flies though. Like, I would not be a Skylander for a day and take one that can't fly or something like that. So for that, we're gonna say sunburn. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to leave your questions down in the comments below so that I can answer them for next month's episode. I'll try to have that one out actually next month, hopefully sometime around the middle of it, just so it's not too close to this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, but oh wait, what's this? I think I see a last question. It's from P. Diddy T-Tube. Is anyone cooler than Portalmaster? No. Thanks again for watching. I just wanted to take some time to thank my generous patrons on Patreon, including Haley, Adrian, WOSA, True Blue Dogemon, and AngryTedC.